Bonjour, je m'appelle Dr. Chen et bienvenue à French 1311, chapitre 3, leçon 8. Aujourd'hui, nous allons étudier la place de l'adjectif en français. La place de l'adjectif. Hello, my name is Dr. Chen and welcome to French 1311, Chapter 3, Lesson 8. Today we are going to study the place of the adjective in French. The place of the adjective in French. We've already learned how the adjective changes from its masculine form to its feminine form, right? And how the adjective agrees in number and in gender with the nouns they describe, right? With the nouns the adjective describes. Now today we are going to learn about how to place the adjectives in French. You know that in French, the adjectives can be placed in front or after the nouns, right? It describes. It can be placed in front or after the noun the adjective describes in French. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, so page 86, page 89. La place de l'adjectif. La place de l'adjectif. The place of the adjective. Okay, if you look at these words here, the phrases here, right, the list of the phrases in green, right, you see that some of the adjectives are in front and some of them are after the nouns. Okay, now if we look at the first phrase, un bon film, un bon film français. L'adjectif bon se place devant le nom film et l'adjectif français se place après le nom film. Now, if you look at the first phrase, we see that the adjective bon is placed, okay, before the noun, devant the noun film, and then français. The adjective français is placed after the noun, right, film. If you go to the next phrase, des cours intéressants. Des cours intéressants. Intéressant means interesting, right? It's placed after the noun cours, means classes or courses, interesting classes. Okay, here, the third one, une voiture économique, right? Économique, the adjective is placed after the noun voiture, voiture, which means car, C-A-R. Okay. Un ordinateur portable, right? Portable computer, which means a laptop, right? Portable is placed after the noun ordinateur. Okay. Un petit appartement, un petit appartement, petit, right? Is placed in front of the noun appartement. Un nouveau film. The adjective nouveau is placed in front of the noun film. Okay? Now, des cours ennuyeux. Des cours ennuyeux. Ennuyeux means boring. Boring. Okay? Des cours ennuyeux. Ennuyeux, the adjective is placed after the noun. Une voiture italienne. Une voiture italienne. The adjective Italian, right? The Italian. The adjective which means Italian. Italienne, right? An Italian car. Une voiture italienne. Ok, très bien. The adjective Italienne is placed after the noun voiture. Un ordinateur traditionnel. Traditionnel, the adjective is placed after ordinateur, the noun. Une grande maison. Une grande maison. Grande, the adjective, is placed in front of the noun maison. Un vieux film. Un vieux film. The adjective vieux is placed in front of the noun film. Now, we know that the adjective can be used with the verb être. We know that already in our previous lesson on adjectives, right? So, when it is used like that, it's the same thing here, right? The adjectives will have to agree in number and gender with the noun it is describing. So, in our first sentence here, all right, elles sont sportives. Elles sont sportives, right? They are athletic, right? Now, they here means is all girls or all women, right? So, sportive has changed from the masculine form to the feminine form. Plus, it has become plural. So, elle, féminin, pluriel. Sportive, féminin, see the ending, the VE, right? Féminin, pluriel. So it has to agree in gender, which is feminine, right? And in number, which is the plural. So, sportive avec S. Okay, ça va? It's the same thing whether it places itself in front or after. The adjective should agree with the gender and number with, right? With the gender and number, we'll have to agree in gender and number with the noun it is describing. So here, see, one of the adjectives, un bon film français, is placed in front. One of them is placed after. They will all have to agree with un film, which is masculine singular. So the masculine form of the adjective is used, right? The adjective that is placed in front. The masculine form is used, right? And because un is singulier, the singular masculine form is used, right? The same thing with the adjective that is placed after the noun, right? Masculine form and masculine singulier, and then masculine singular, because un film, one movie, right, is singulier, it is singular. Okay, now you realize that most adjectives in French are placed after the noun. Okay, so far you realize that most adjectives are placed after the noun, right? After the nouns they describe. Okay, so les yeux verts after the noun, right? Green eyes. Les cheveux blonds, right? Les cheveux blonds. Les cheveux blonds. Okay, blonde hair. les cheveux blonds. Okay, blonde hair. Le drapeau français, French flag. Okay, the French flag. Okay, so most adjectives in French will be placed after the noun. Okay, but we also have a sizable number of them being placed in front. You realize that most of these adjectives, the adjectives that are placed in front, are the well-known ones, right? The ones that we use in everyday speech, like good, bad, beautiful, right? And then most of these adjectives that are placed in front of their nouns are adjectives that are short. They are short. They normally have one or two syllables. When we say syllables, it means that it can be one syllable, like bon, right? Or two, just two, like mauvais, two syllables, right? One sound, bon, and then two sounds, right? Two sounds is what is called two syllables, like mauvais, mauvais, two, just two. And then you have most of them being one syllable words, one syllabic words, right? That means they will have one sound, like bon or beau, right? So either they will be very short adjectives, or if they are long, they will just have two sounds, right? Mauvais, petit, bon, beau, grand, right? Short, well-known adjectives that are used mostly in everyday conversation. So here, un bon étudiant, un bon étudiant, un bon étudiant. Okay, commonly used adjective, good. Un vieux ferme, un vieux ferme, vieux, you know the meaning, old. Un vieux ferme. Une petite maison, a small house. Un grand écran, a big screen, okay? Un grand écran, un grand écran, okay? Une belle fille, a beautiful daughter or a beautiful girl. Une jeune femme, a young woman, right? Un nouveau livre, a new book. Un bel acteur, a handsome actor, right? Une mauvaise idée, a bad idea. Okay, you realize that most of these adjectives in front of the nouns are short adjectives, and they are the ones that are used almost always in everyday speech, right? In everyday conversation. So they tend to describe most of the adjectives that are placed in front. They tend to describe things or people, right? Or ideas of beauty. They also express the idea of age, right? And then they can also describe the idea of goodness and badness, right? And finally, they will describe the idea of size. Okay, if you look here, un bon étudiant, goodness, right? Une mauvaise idée, right? A bad idea is the opposite of goodness, but it has the same idea, right? Un vieux ferme, age, right? The idea of age. Une petite maison, the idea of size, a small house. Un grand écran, a big screen, right? A tall screen, right? The idea of size. Une belle fille, the idea of beauty, all right? Une jeune femme, the idea of age, right? Young, right? Good. Un nouveau livre, okay, a new book, the idea of age too, right? Un bel acteur, the idea of beauty, a handsome actor. Une mauvaise idée, the idea of beauty, of goodness, an idea of goodness, right? Goodness or badness, right? So, un bon film, okay? Une mauvaise idée, the idea of goodness. So, the adjectives expressing the sentiment of beauty, age, goodness, or size are placed in front of the nouns they describe, right? Those adjectives that are placed in front of the nouns they describe are expressing the sentiments, right, of beauty, age, goodness, right, and size. So to remember these adjectives, right, you can do an acronym, right, and say BAX, right, BAGS, right, bags. So beauty, right, age, goodness, and size. Beauty, age, goodness, and size. Those adjectives, right? Un bon étudiant, un vieux film, une petite maison, un grand écran, une belle fille, une jeune femme, un nouveau livre, un bel acteur, une mauvaise idée. They all express an idea of beauty, age, goodness, and size. Ça va? It's a way of remembering those adjectives that are placed in front of the nouns they describe. Okay, ça va? Adjectives that also describe their nouns, right? In a series, right? You have 1, 2, 3, right? First, second, third, right? Those adjectives are also placed in front of the nouns they describe. So, premier, deuxième. Premier means first. Premier or is feminine form première, right? Deuxième, second, right? Series, right? First, second, third, right? So, deuxième, troisième, quatrième, right? Series. Those adjectives are placed in front of the nouns they describe. So, le premier form, the first form. Le deuxième form, the second form. Le prochain means next. Le prochain form, so series, right? One after the other, right? Un autre form, the other form. This form, the other form, right? Un autre, other. O-T-H-E-R. Le dernier form, dernier means the last, right? So first, second, third, right? Those adjectives in French are placed in front But there is an exception to the rule here. When you use the adjective prochaine or its feminine form prochaine, or the adjective dernier or its feminine form dernière, right? When you use those adjectives to express time with a noun expressing time, like the week, the year, right? The week, the year, right? Or the day, right? When they are used with nouns expressing the idea of time, right? Then those adjectives will be placed after. Here, week, right? La semaine prochaine, right? See here we say le prochain form, right? The next form. But to say next week, prochaine will be placed after the noun. La semaine prochaine, la semaine prochaine, and le prochain form. Le prochain form was expressing the idea of a series, right? One after the other. When the adjective is used with a noun expressing time, like the day, right? The year, or the week. And prochaine will be used after the noun. La semaine prochaine, right? La semaine dernière, right? When dernière is used with a noun expressing time, right? La semaine, right, is féminin. That's why dernier changes to dernière, dernière. La semaine is feminine, and that's why prochaine changes to prochaine, right? La semaine prochaine, la semaine dernière. Last week, next week. Okay? Ça va? So dernier, right, will be placed in front of the noun if it is describing the noun in a series, right? The same thing with prochaine, right? But when they are used with nouns describing time, they will come after the noun. Ça va? Ça va bien? Très bien. Au revoir et à bientôt.